Good morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m., so we will get started. Thank you for joining us today as we prepare for week 10 of the 2021 MEAC Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Karen Carty, Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations here at the MEAC, and I will serve as the moderator for today's meeting. I would like to remind everyone in attendance that to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom, and when acknowledged, state your name and indicate the media outlet that you are representing. Before we hear from our coaches, we will hear from Mr. Jeff Cunningham, the MEAC's Director of Media Relations, who will provide us with some MEAC notes. Jeff?
Good morning and thank you. With 3 Saturdays remaining in the regular season, there are 2 undefeated teams in MEAC play. South Carolina State improved to 3-0 in the conference this past Saturday with a 27-24 win at North Carolina Central, a game in which Kendall Flowers rushed for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns, while quarterback Corey Fields Jr. passed for 2 scores. Norfolk State is 2-0 in the MEAC and on a 6-game winning streak after Saturday's 31-20 win over Morgan State. MEAC preseason Offensive Player of the Year Jajuan Carter passed for 368 yards, the highest single-game total in the MEAC this season, and 3 touchdowns, while J.J. Davis ran for 105 yards, had 94 receiving yards, and accounted for 2 scores. Delaware State is in the thick of the league race as well, after the Hornets took care of Howard this past Saturday, 30-23 in Alumni Stadium. Jared Lewis threw for 4 touchdowns in the victory. This Saturday, MEAC Countdown to Kickoff presented by Coca-Cola returns, this time live from Durham, North Carolina, in advance of the Norfolk State North Carolina Central contest at O'Kelly Riddick Stadium. Join hosts Charlie Neal and Nicole Hutchison as they talk to both head coaches and preview the entire weekend's action. Tune into the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN Plus at 12 p.m. to catch MEAC Countdown to Kickoff presented by Coca-Cola, then catch the Spartans and Eagles in action at 2 p.m. live on ESPN3, then rebroadcast at 10:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Thursday night, we'll see Delaware State and Morgan State square off at Hughes Stadium live on ESPN2. Catch the Hornets and Bears in action live starting at 7:30 p.m. The MEAC crowned its first champions of the 2021-22 academic year this past Friday in Cary, North Carolina, as Norfolk State swept the men's and women's cross-country titles at Wake Med Soccer Park. The Spartans had 4 of the top 8 runners on the women's side, while on the men's side, the Spartans swept the top 3 spots, led by individual champion Evans Churiot, who ran a season-best 25 minutes, 11 seconds over the 8K course. For the women, South Carolina State's Jada Banks won gold after finishing the 5K course in 18 minutes, 40.6 seconds. Howard and Delaware State are tied atop the MEAC volleyball standings at 9-2, in large part because the Bison snapped the Hornets' 16-match winning streak this past week. Howard has now won 6 matches in a row. Coppin State and North Carolina Central are tied for 3rd in the standings with matching 7-4 records, with Maryland Eastern Shore in 5th at 6-5. For more information on the MEAC and its 16 sponsored sports, please visit meacsports.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and be sure to subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, now we will begin the conversation with our head coaches. First with Larry Scott from Howard. Good morning, Coach Scott. How are you?
Good morning. How are we doing this morning?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Bison fought Delaware State right down to the wire, but fell a little short. Can you recap that game for us?
I think it's one of those deals where you're in it. The kids are playing hard and they're fighting all the way down to the end, and we just we made 3 critical areas. 3 critical errors on 3 deep balls that were the change of the game, and found ourselves on the short end of the stick there this week, but still continuing to get better and press on. So kind of on to the next.
Awesome. Ian Wheeler rushed for 121 yards and a score, and Casey Hawthorne caught 7 passes for 70 yards. Talk about their play against the Hornets.
Oh, two young guys in our program that are continuing to get better each and every week. You watch the progression of them from training camp and then through the season, and adding a little bit more to their plate, as we go. Ian, who kind of had a little bit of a knee injury coming out after the first game of the year, starting to work his way back into shape and back into the lineup and back into different aspects of our offense. And he's done a really nice job with his opportunities when his number has been called. And then you have a young kid like Casey Hawthorne, who we use around and play and put in a lot of different places to have his skill set start to come through, and his versatility started to come through for us too. It's been big for us here as we continue to build. So very happy with those two young guys, and they're definitely excited about the future with them.
There's a big game on tap this weekend as Howard travels down to Orangeburg to battle the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. Give us a preview of that contest.
You just said it. You turn on the film, and the first thing you do is go, "Whoa! They got some guys running around out there." Talented team. Obviously, Coach Pugh's done a great job with that program, and they're on top of the standings right now. They're on top of the standings for a reason. They're really good on defense, good in the kicking game, and can be explosive on offense. So definitely a big one for us, a big challenge for us to go down there, ride down there on a 7-8 hour bus ride and play a really good football team.
All right, Coach, those are the questions I have for you. We will now turn to the media for questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Scott.
Good morning.
When you look at HBCU football and we get into November, can you just talk about the intensity as college football shifts gears and it kicks up another notch, if you will, going into November?
Yeah, you're either a contender or a pretender in the month of November. And so, you turn on the tape and you see guys, the progression of watching maybe some film when you saw guys early in the year and everybody's kind of figuring it out and getting their feet wet, and you turn it on and a couple of weeks later and they look like a different ball club. So you definitely see the intensity start to pick up when you get in conference play. And then from week to week, you don't know which way it's going to go. So you have to have your guys, revved up and ready to go week to week, because it is it's going to be, a ball game. And a lot of, especially with us, we've been finding ourselves all the way down in the last possession, being single possession games a lot of the times in some of these games, or a call that goes your way or go the other way, can be the difference in the game. So definitely the intensity of it picks up, and guys have to be ready to go every week.
Coach Scott, just the legacy of HBCU coaches and Black coaches in college football. We look at yourself and what you've been able to do with your resume at the U and now at Howard HU. And then you look across the field on Saturday, you see a gentleman like Buddy Pugh. Can you just talk about the legacy of Black coaches? And again, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh man, it's a beautiful thing. And I've known Coach Pugh for a very long time. When we ran in some of the same coaching circles, he worked with Skip Holtz, who I work with also as well, in college football, and so I got to know Buddy. When we weren't working in the same area, working in the same league and those type of things, and when the interest came from Howard to take on this opportunity, he was one of the coaches that I spent some time visiting, with about the opportunity and those type of things. So a guy that I have a ton of respect for, the job that he's done there, but more importantly, just the man that he is, the coach that he is, because you get around any of his former players or people that have been around him, they all light up because of who he is in their lives, not only as a coach, but as a man that is Buddy. So a lot of respect and admiration for him, and kind of just the epitome of why we do what we do in the big picture of things.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavell.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How we doing?
I'm doing well. Your offensive is pretty balanced between your pass and rushing, but I want to focus a little bit on your rushing game with Ian Wheeler. You know, he had 121 total yards, 13 carries, and a touchdown, long of 60. Seems to be playing really well. Talk about your assessment of this young man.
I think you just said it. You know, again, he was a guy that we had a really good training camp. We thought, highly of coming out of training camp. And in our first game there against Richmond, suffered a little bit of a knee injury. They kind of kept him out for, 3 to 4 weeks. And then so, kind of hot spot trying to get him back in the lineup and get him back going. Took a little bit, but now he's back in and he's getting comfortable within the system and those things. And you're starting to see flashes of who he was in training camp and what we thought he was going to be for us all year. So very excited about his development and what he's been doing. And he's, kind of a real versatile guy that likes to do it all. I mean, he covered kicks for us as well. And runs back kicks and kickoff return and those type of things. So he's a guy that has a tremendous skill set that's going to do nothing but continue to get better as he continues to get bigger and stronger too as he goes, because he's still a young guy.
On the defensive side, is there anybody that you would point out that is either doing it in terms of statistics on the field or doing it based on leadership on the defensive side of the ball that we need to focus?
I mean, yeah, I think up front, Darren Brokenberg has been a guy that's been pretty consistent for us defensive end. Really consistent and throughout the whole year, kind of been solid. But the young safety that we have, Kenny Gallup, has been a young man that really doesn't leave the field for us on defense. He's one of the guys that plays just about every snap on defense and plays a few special teams for us too. As a freshman, really as a freshman, has been doing a really, really fine job for us there. And I think he leads us in tackles and may even leads the conference in tackles, if I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken. So just a young man who's, really developing and coming into his own back there and getting more comfortable on the back end at weak safety for us, and a young man that we're looking forward to having a really bright future in our program.
One last follow-up question is just talk about philosophy, coaching-wise, if you would, and take us into the locker room to some degree. At this time of the year, are you focusing on yourself in terms of how you schematically go about the next game, or is there a continued evaluation of the philosophy of what happened last game and as you matriculate to the next game?
I think you have to look at it in both folds. It's a really good question because at the end of the day, one doesn't fit without the other. I think all those things has to be true and has to be evaluated and has to be worked through at the same time. Is being as young as we are, you see different guys coming and developing at different points, and it's just like, okay, so where does all of that fit into the big scheme of things when you start talking schematics and those type of things and what you're doing with your offensive defense and even in your kicking game for that note, you get to this point in the year too where you can still play some of the young guys that were kind of on the red shirt path, but you can stick them in there and get them going a little bit and let them get their feet hot and feel what that fire feels like on game day, because there's no duplication of that can be done in a practice setting or any of those things. And until they get in the game and actually play, that's when they get a chance to do that. So those things are constantly being evaluated, and just, building the foundation of what the true standards are within the program is something that consistently has to be done, especially when you have a young football team. And that's just the accountability that comes along with that, not only from, the coaches to the players, but the standard and accountability to each other, that they have to own certain things. You talk about the locker room. The locker room needs to be their domain, where the standard is always set within that. And for you to be a part of that locker room, you have to be able to reach these standards on a daily basis, not just on game day, but on a daily basis, and the accountability that comes within it from each other to hold each other accountable when things aren't being done or when the details aren't being upheld the way that we should and the way we talk about that are program standards. So Doc, that's something that's constantly being evaluated and tweaked and done on a daily basis.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend. Keep it a great
Thank you so much.
Stephen Gaither.
Hey, Coach Scott, how you doing this morning?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing amazing. Just wondering for you, I know you coached in the spring, but obviously now things are a little bit different, being able to bring recruits on campus and have them for visits and have them come see your games. What's what's the feedback that you've gotten from the recruits as far as the experience that they've gotten overall at Howard, and then also of your program? As I know we talked about during the media day, you're really looking to build, especially with those high school prospects. So, what kind of feedback are you guys getting from them at this point?
All the feedback from him recruiting has been off the charts. It's been really, really good. We had a few guys in here for homecoming on an official visit, and by the end of that visit, all four of them were committed to us. So, at the end of the day, it's been a really positive thing, and especially when you can get young men, on this campus in that type of environment, it's kind of second to none. It's hard to beat in the end. Plus, Howard's kind of is one of those brands that kind of sells itself. So at the end of the day, when they come in and they look at what you have, and they get around the young men in your program, and the positivity and the accountability and all of those things that are being projected from our young people, in the end, I say, why not? Why don't you want to be a part of this? You're going to get a world-class education in the nation's capital and be a part of a program that's building something special all at the same time. So it's the right time, right place with the right people. So join in and let's go.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Coach. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach, good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, Coach. Now, you mentioned earlier that at this time of season, you're either a contender or a pretender, and your record is what it says it is. So, in your opinion, what is the one thing that's keeping your team from, besides winning, from becoming a contender?
I think just the natural progression, the time that it takes to actually build it, but build it the right way. Like I said, we're not going to be a transfer field team. You're not going to look at our roster one year to the next and we plugged in 6, 7, 8 transfers. That's not going to happen here at Howard. We're going to go the long haul. We're going to bring in a young man at age 17, 18 years old as a freshman, and we're going to develop him over a 4 or 5 year period to be the players that we need him to be. So I think for us right now, it's just a progression of time with a lot of young players that when they're put in situations where it's time to go win the game, and their progression of their development, just we're not there yet to go finish. And I think what you'll start to see is you'll start to see a young team that be able to do that. And when we do, there's going to be no turning back. So I think in the end, you're right. Our record is what it is. We are where we are in our progression of building this program. But I'm really looking forward and excited about what we're doing, even going into this week and where we are and finishing up this season and on into the future.
I know you'll be looking at all aspects of the game this weekend against South Carolina State, but when it comes to your offensive line and your defensive lines, how satisfied are you with their play, and how much of a measuring stick can a team with a tradition like South Carolina State has with good lines, how much of a measuring stick can that be for your team this week?
Oh, huge. I think when you play a good team like South Carolina State, I'm sure they have, athletes on the perimeter and those type of things, but it's an interior game. If you can't control the front, offensively and defensively, you're going to have a hard time being in that game and winning. So, but no different in any game. It really starts up front. Just they have a tradition of being big and physical up front, and then we're going to have to match that. Our offensive line, I think, has really progressed well. We go into the game even last week. Statistically, Delaware State hadn't given up a lot of rushing yardage. They were really good in the run game, and they gave us some coverages and did a couple different things where we had to take our time and be patient and put the ball on the ground. And we rushed the ball for 200 yards in that game and kind of had to put it on our offensive line. They did a really good job. Up front defensively, we're playing a lot of guys, which is good for us because we're young and getting guys in there and rotating guys in and out. Definitely an area that we got to continue to build through recruiting and those type of things too as well. And just develop them, because that's where games are won and losses up front. And that's by my nature too, is my philosophy as well.
And last question, Coach, even though you mentioned that you want to build your team from the bottom up, when it comes to your line play, would you consider the NCAA's transfer portal if a guy, had interest in Howard?
I'm never say never when it comes to those type of things. Obviously we have some academic interest requirements that makes us a little bit unique and different, in that respect. But sure, if it fits and it lines up well academically and it fits within our scheme of things that we need to do, I'm never going to say that we wouldn't look at that. But that's not that's not how we're going to prioritize things within the program to go do it. Necessarily, unless, like I said, it fits and lines up.
Okay. Thank you, Coach, a whole lot, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach Scott. Good luck, and we'll see you next week.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Have a good week.
Take care. This Saturday, the Bison will travel to Orangeburg, South Carolina to face the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Kickoff is slated for 2 p.m. at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium. The game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have North Carolina Central head coach Trey Oliver. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Eagles amassed 435 yards of total offense against South Carolina State in a narrow 27-24 defeat on Saturday, but were hampered by 2 missed field goals, a missed extra point, and 9 penalties. What were some of the good and bad takeaways from the game?
Well, I think you talked about a lot of the bad. I mean, we played a really, really good football team, South Carolina State. And, like you said, we moved the ball up and down the field on those guys. And, when you get in the red zone and you're missing field goals, you're missing extra points, and the penalties. It's hard to win and beat good teams when you're doing things like that. But I thought we did some good things in the return game. And I thought we grew up a little bit offensively. We just have to learn how to finish drives and to put the football in the end zone. But we still have ways to go. I think that we did improve, but to beat good teams like that, you can't beat yourself. And when you have 9 penalties, you're not giving yourself a chance to win. But I take my hat off to Coach Pugh. He's a great coach, and they have a really good football team down there in Orangeburg.
All right, Coach. Which of your players played particularly well for you on Saturday?
It was up and down. I didn't think that a couple guys played, pretty good, but I thought Davies played, had a pretty good job, did a pretty good job throwing the ball and hitting some receivers, but we just have to be more consistent. And we had, I think, 4 drops. So, as well as the receiving core played, when you have 4 drops, those are drive killers. So, I was very disappointed in that. I thought in the back end, we played, pretty good in secondary, but we still had to improve some run fits in the run game. But we have to be more consistent across the board.
All right. And this weekend, it'll be homecoming against Norfolk State. Share your thoughts about your homecoming week and then Saturday's clash with the Spartans.
Well, yes, homecoming around here, and a lot of folks excited. So we have another really good team coming here with Norfolk State, and they're really good and they're talented. And I think the biggest difference is, they have a veteran group, and they're probably one of the older teams in the conference, and with a lot of experience coming back. And it starts with the quarterback. So we have to do a really good job of containing the quarterback and trying to slow down their run game. But they have a balanced attack with the run game, and they do a good job getting the ball to the receivers in space. So it's going to be another tough test for us this week. But we're excited that, like I said, it's homecoming around here, and we plan on putting on a good show on Saturday.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions that I have for you. We'll now turn to the media, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, James. How you doing?
Pretty good, sir. Your offense, Mr. Richard Smith and Mr. McDaniel. Can you just talk about those gentlemen moving the ball down the field, scoring, and what you see there, and some of the things you would like to improve in that area for them?
Well, yeah, those are some playmakers. Andrew Smith is making plays. Ryan McDaniel's been consistent all year. But as a core, we still, when you have 4 drops, those are drive killers. But I think we have to do a better job of being able to run the football. And if we can, consistently run the football and get something going in the ground game, that'll open up those weapons even more. But I am pleased with Ryan and Andrew. I think they've done a really good job all year. But I'll say it again, we're explosive on the perimeter. We just have to be able to sustain drives and put the ball in the end zone.
This weekend, you have a big contest, a homecoming. And when you look over and you see a very talented team like Norfolk, it's like Ali and Frazier when you have two big time programs facing each other. But can you just talk about looking over there and maybe you want to contain them or try to slow them down or stop them when you see the Spartans?
Well, yeah, we like I said, they're explosive offensively and they're balanced. So we had to do obviously a really good job of trying to slow down the run game and trying to make them one dimensional. We had to contain the quarterback. I mean, he'll kill you with his legs, and he does a good job scrambling, keeping his eyes downfield. So when he does scramble, our defensive backs have to plaster or lock on to their receivers and keep their eyes out of the backfield. But they're a talented group from the O-line, receivers, tight ends, across the board. So we're gonna have to play. We have to bring our A game this week.
Coach, in closing, take us back to one of your most fond memories of homecoming at Central.
Oh man, all of them were special, man. All of them were special. Probably my freshman year in '94. I had an opportunity. I was a starting defensive back, and it was just a little different event right there. It was a sold out and packed house, and for you to be a freshman, you'll play in a venue like that, an event like that, it's amazing. But all of them are special, man. Whenever that many people come back and family and friends and everybody get around and tailgating, it is a special event.
Thank you, sir.
We'll talk about the rest of it offline.
All right. Enjoy your week.
All right. Thank you.
Dr. Cavell.
Coach Oliver, I'm not gonna go there as well because it sounds like that was exciting for you.
Good morning, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing well. But I will ask you about homecoming from this perspective. You've lived it, you felt it in this situation. So how do you translate that to your players in regards to making sure they come in even keel and then rise throughout the game to a certain lather that they can play, hopefully their best football during the game?
Right. Well, a lot of distractions this week, and we have to be focused on the task at hand. And around here, we talk about a thermostat mentality. So although it is homecoming, our guys are going to be excited. They're going to be, jacked up and ready to go. But we can't get too high and we can't get too low. So we need to set the thermostat at about 70 degrees and don't let it get, 90, 95 and can't drop down to 62, 63. So we have to just control our emotions, take it one play at a time, enjoy the crowd and feed off the crowd's energy. And we just have to execute and figure out a way to win this football game.
Talk a little bit about your defensive side of the ball. Offense, you've seemed to be putting up quite a bit of yards right there on the edge. Maybe want to do a little better on your third down conversion rate. But in terms of what you're doing defensively, how is that coming along for you?
Kind of like everything else, a little inconsistent. I mean, we play well in spurts, and then we've given up too many. This past week, we gave up too many rushing yards. I think we have to win first down, and that's where it starts. When you win first down, you have a better chance of getting off the field on third down. And when we won first down this past week, we did well. We held them some 3 and outs and got off the field. But when we let them, get 6 or 7 yards in first down, obviously that gets them in front of the chains and it's easier for them to convert. So it starts with stopping the run. We got a couple guys back this past week from injury. Hopefully we'll see, and we might get 1 or 2 more back this week. But it starts first and foremost with stopping the run with our run fits, and then from there in the back end, keeping our eyes clean and not giving up any cheap stuff over the top.
Coach Oliver, I like the press box look. Very good look. Continue to do what you do with the program. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
The art HBCU Sports.
Yes, good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I noticed something in the stat sheet where you had to use your kicker, your punter, and your quarterback to handle kicking duties this past weekend. Was that an injury situation? I know you've been dealing with injuries all season long. Is that somehow made its way over to the kicking game? And is that something that you're going to have to deal with next week?
Well, yeah, we did have a kicker that was a little banged up. He sustained a minor injury on Thursday. Watched him in pregame, and then the first couple kicks that we missed, We didn't do well on placing the ball on kickoffs. So I decided to make a change, and I'm not going to just sit there and watch us miss extra points and field goals. So if guys aren't getting it done, it'll be the next man up. We'll give that guy a try. But we've got to figure out a way how to score some more points. And like we say in our program, everybody's important, from the head coach down to the trainers, equipment staff, academic staff, quarterbacks, D-line, our kickers. They're just as important. So when their number is called, they have to perform and perform well. So, I'll work with those guys this week to work to get them better, like with everybody else in our program.
All right, thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Oliver, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Ty. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. You talk about making teams one-dimensional, and if you look at Norfolk State, the thing they do best is actually pass the ball. So with the success you had this past weekend, can you translate that against Norfolk State in terms of handling Jajuan Carter and Justin Smith?
We're going to have our hands full. Those guys are explosive. And, we say they throw the ball, and they do throw it around quite a bit. But if you look at them, I think they're averaging about 200 in the air and 200 on the ground. So for us, we're going to come in and plan for a balanced attack. Of course, if you've got to stop the run. I can't say it enough. You've got to stop the run and try to make them one-dimensional and keep the ball in front of you. But those guys are talented. And like I said, we're gonna have our hands full, but we're looking forward to the challenge.
And with so much momentum on their side, Norfolk State has a 6-game winning streak. We all know that. But it's not just their offense. What are your main concerns about their defense?
They're big up front. They're active. Their linebackers are very sound, and they're sound in the back end. They don't do a whole lot defensively, but they're where they're supposed to be, and they make the plays that come to them. But I think in the conference, there's a lot of parity. I don't think it's too much of a difference between all the teams. When you look at Delaware State, they're very good. I think they're a good football team. South Carolina State, obviously, Norfolk, and Morgan took Norfolk down to the fourth quarter, and so I think there's a lot of parity in conference. It's all about execution.
And speaking of execution, your team allowed 3 long drives this past weekend. Would that be a point of emphasis in practice this week?
Well, yeah, and that's like I said, it starts with first down. You win first down, you have an opportunity to get off the field on third down. And it was really, it was 1 or 2 plays that I believe we got that corrected with some of our run fits. So we, doing some things this week to simplify some stuff schematically. And if we shore up those run fits, I think we'll get that corrected. But I'm expecting a much better performance this week from our defense.
All right. Thank you, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Ty.
Stephen Gaither.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm well. How you doing?
Doing well. I know we talked about this during media day, but just obviously beyond the X's and O's, you and Coach Odoms obviously go back to your playing days at Central, playing at homecoming together, moving up the coaching ranks, and now you're going against him as a head coach. Just talk about what he means to you. What you guys' relationship has been like, through all of that, and then what the job he's done at Norfolk, taking this program and really late in the process and getting them in position to really do a lot of great things so far this season. Yeah,
Coach Odoms and I, we did play on defense side of the ball here back under Coach Little many years ago, and we were a good friend of mine, and obviously I had the opportunity to work with him, work for him at Southern University, and great coach, very knowledgeable of the game, and he's done an outstanding job since he's taken over the program at Norfolk, and I think they'll be very successful, in years to come. And like I said, he's a good person, good friend of mine. And I'm really happy to see, where both of us careers have taken us, from way back in 95, I think we first got together to now. So I wish him all the best, except for this Saturday.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Oliver, thank you so much for being with us today. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Aaron. Have a good day.
All right, you too. The North Carolina Central Eagles will host the Norfolk State Spartans this Saturday at O'Kelly Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Kickoff will be at 2 p.m. The contest will be broadcast live on ESPN3 and then rebroadcast on ESPNU at 10:30 p.m. Additionally, the second episode of the MEAC's pregame show, MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola, will air live on ESPN Plus starting at 12 p.m. Fans attending the game should come out early to show their support for their favorite team during the show. Up next, we have head coach of Delaware State, Coach Rod Milstead. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. How are you?
Doing well today. All right, Coach. The Hornets picked up a big win against Howard on Saturday. What were the keys to that 30-23 victory for your team?
I think the keys against Howard was playing a complete football game. Probably one of the first times this season where the team never let down. They never got down. Howard came out and scored on a nice drive and went up 7-0, and got back on the sideline, and no heads went down. Everyone was still locked into the game and understand those things happen during the course of the game. You try to eliminate them, and then came back the next drive, and we matched the score 7-7. And from that point on, we just continued to run our game plan, and decided that that day we just weren't going to lose, and our guys played well. So hats off to them. But like I said earlier last week, that Howard team is not the same team that we played in the spring. I take my hat off to Coach Scott and the professionalism of his team and his players. It was a tough game. It was a tough, hard-fought game that could have gone any way. But I was so impressed on how professional his team was and his players and his young players. They're going to be tough years down the road. They're going to be really, really tough. And we were very fortunate to come out there with a win.
Awesome, Coach. The Hornets have now won 3 of their last 4 games. Is your team finally clicking on all cylinders?
We still got a lot of work to do. Believe it or not, we're young. We're still young, and our quarterback is finally taking that step of the leadership role, and along with our receiving core. And then, we have a freshman running back that's doing really, really well this year. Offensive line, of course, I'm an offensive line guy. They're still not where I want them to be, but they are taking steps to get better weekly. We would have preferred to have more yards on the ground this week than we had, but the Howard defense was really, really stingy in that fact. So our quarterback used his arm and did a really good job throwing 4 touchdowns this week, and we needed that to win.
Great. Up next is nearby rival Morgan State. Talk about the Delaware State-Morgan State rivalry.
Oh, it's a tough one. Since I've been here, we've come up short both times. We've never, it's crazy, but since I've been here, we've never played them at Delaware State. We've always played them at Morgan. So we go back there again Thursday night, national TV. It's going to be exciting. Teams like Morgan scare me. I said this when we played Virginia Lynchburg. When a team doesn't have a victory, it's a tough deal when you go into their place and play, because they're going to be playing on all cylinders. They're looking for that first victory, and no one wants to be that guy. Looking at them on film, watching them play Norfolk, they're a really good football team, believe it or not. They're not an 0-8 on film team. A couple corrections here, and I'm quite sure a lot of their games would have been different. But we got to play Delaware State football. We got to play the way we played against Howard, and then take it up a notch as well. So that's what we're preparing for, and it's going to be a dogfight. It's never been easy to play in Baltimore, and I'm quite sure Coach is going to have his guys ready to play.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll now switch to our media questions, with the first one coming from Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Mr. Hill. How are you?
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about your victory over the weekend and the development of your quarterback, Mr. Jared Lewis, and your takeaways from Saturday?
I'm really proud of Jared. Jared has really stepped up and become a leader. Has really worked well with our offensive staff in terms of the play calling, being able to change plays at the line of scrimmage, and also just having that leadership role. So his development has been slow, but it's been progressive. And I was very proud of him coming out and throwing the long ball and making some tough throws that he made. His really has taken his game to another level. And then, every time he throws, somebody's got to catch it. And Trey Groves has been his go-to target. And but the one thing I can say about Jared, he has spread the ball around. Although he has thrown a lot of touchdowns to Trey, he's definitely spreading the ball around to a lot of different receivers and giving everybody an opportunity to get involved, which makes our offense much stronger.
Coach Milstead, now we get into what we call November football, and it can be very challenging. You'll see Morgan State, and the list goes on, but just talk about the concept of November football and why that's so important in HBCU and in college football as a whole.
Well, especially this year for Delaware State, after our bye week, it was a straight MEAC run. And every week there's going to be a MEAC team. And I said this before, that the MEAC is so evenly yoked in terms of the players and coaches and the competitive nature that it's anyone's ball game any given week. And in November, coming down to crunch time, you still have several teams that are still in the hunt for the MEAC championship. It can still go any way. And it's exciting, and especially for HBCU football, November is the month. It all comes down to the last final games, usually to decide who's going to be the champion of the respective conferences, and that's usually decided in November.
Thank you, sir. Good luck in your next game.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavell?
Yes, Coach Milstead, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. You talked about your quarterback, Jared Lewis, playing really well, as well as added in Trey Gross about being one of his favorite receivers, although he spread it around. He had a big game with just 7 receptions, but he put up 124 yards, 2 touchdowns, playing well all season, 6'4", 210 pounds out of Annapolis, Maryland. Senior there. He's got it going really well. Talk a little bit more about what he does that's special.
Trey Gross is the hardest working young man on our football team. Trey got here in 2017 as a straight walk-on and earned a full scholarship. And that's all he knows is his work ethic. What he does in practice is amazing. He wants every rep, and he knows this year is his last year. So not only does he run with the first team offense, he also runs with the scout team to give our defense a look so that they're prepared to go when we play as well. So he's on a lot of our special teams, and that's surely by, hey, coach, I just want to be on the field. It's my last year. I want to leave everything on the field. So he's just an amazing talent, and all the balls and touchdowns and the yards that he get, they're definitely earned because he's worked so hard in practice and being that leader on and off the field. So proud of Trey, and looking for bigger things for him from him the next 3 weeks.
I want to go into your next opponent, and it's a Thursday night game. I wanted to ask you first in regards to how much does that change the work week? And obviously over the years, you've gotten used to it. It's part of the package. All games are at least streamed on the television, but now you have this one on ESPNU. Talk about the nature of being on television and the adjustment of a short week.
We knew this game was coming. Okay, it's been on the schedule for a while. So to us, it's like normal preparation. Of course, you move everything up a day or so. And, we played on Saturday. We were back in here yesterday. Coaches didn't leave Saturday night. You stay, you break the film down. And then as soon as we got Morgan's film, we started breaking that down. Went home, got a few hours of rest, and came back and started it again early yesterday morning. Stayed here last night till about 10 o'clock. trying to make sure we got everything as well. But we practiced yesterday. That's the one thing about it. That's the caveat that you have to accept. And our kids knew that. They knew that we were going to have a game, and then turn right around and be ready to practice Sunday night. And we practiced already this morning. Our practice is done for today. And so our kids had the itinerary. They know the expectation. They know the standard. We're going to be on national TV on Thursday, and I believe it's ESPN2. I believe.
That's correct. My fault. Yes, it is, Coach Mister.
Which is even more special because that's definitely a more nationwide audience, and our kids are excited about the opportunity. Morgan's the opponent, and we want to go over there and put on a good show. But I do want to say one thing about Jared Lewis. The way that he's progressed through practice, and the things that he's doing in practice is the reason why he's starting to have the success that he's doing. He's really bought in to the offense, bought into the culture here, and he's bought into coaching and working on his techniques. Jared's a very dynamic player for us, and he's a big reason why we won last weekend.
Appreciate that, Coach. I wanted to ask a little bit more about Morgan State. As you said, you got a chance to at least look at the film. Although they're 0-8, physical team in a lot of ways, you're getting into the winter months and you want to run the ball. Talk about schematically, what do they do? Although you want to do what you do, how does that look in terms of breaking down the film?
Well, when you have a running back that's doing very, very well, not only in the MEAC, but nationally, of course, they're going to try to do everything to stop it. And that's the biggest thing. Even Howard really did some things that were schematically that slowed us down a little bit in the run game. But then, we always talk about being a complete football team, and where one section maybe slowed down, the other section picks up. So we started throwing the ball, and, like I told everybody else, I want to be a balanced offense, and I think last week was the time that we showed some things that people really hadn't seen in a while, that wow, they can really throw the ball, they can run it. We know that, but now they can throw the ball. So it's going to give Morgan some things they got to prepare for. Do they stop the air show, or do they stop the running attack? And we feel pretty good right now about both styles, our running game and also our passing attack. But like I said, watching them on film, they do some good things. They're very, very physical. Their quarterback is playing well. He's getting the ball out of his hands. They have, I call him a tight end or a sniffer, number 8, does a phenomenal job blocking the C gap, and then he'll block, and then he'll take off in the flats, and the quarterback give him the ball, but he'll line up in the backfield. He's just a dynamic player. 83 is a big tight end type body style guy that plays out wide, that doing a very good job of catching the football for them. And then just seeing the multiple running backs that they have, they want to run the ball, and then they're going to, their quarterback is going to sit back in the pocket. And he's going to try to pick you apart. That's the style, the pro style that they run. Defensively, they're all over the place. I mean, they are running to the football. They're making it very, very difficult for you to do the things that you want to do. And I'm quite sure they're going to try to stack the box on us to try to stop us from running, try to eliminate one part of our offense. So it's going to be a tough game, tough fight Thursday night. I'm quite sure Coach Wheatley is going to have his guys ready to go. They got a lot at stake over there. We're coming in their place, and it's a nationally televised game. They're going to want to play well.
Thanks, Coach Mister. Look forward to the matchup. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning.
Just got one question for you. Your team is in a great position to not only have a winning season, but also you control your own destiny as far as gaining a share of the MEAC championship this year. So can you address that?
Well, Mr. Hill, we don't really talk about that. We just talk about the next game, and that's what it boils down to for us. It's just the next game. Mr. Miller, I'm sorry about that, Coach Mr. Hill, but we're concerned about Morgan. The fact of the matter is we dropped one to South Carolina State, and you look at the numbers, we have to control what we can control right now. And it's no mystery. If South Carolina State wins out, they win it. Right now we have to control beating Morgan and then working on to the next game from that point on. And then, wherever the cards, fall at that point, we have to accept it because of the defeat that we had to South Carolina State. I wish it was easy, as you stated earlier, that we controlled it, but right now we don't control it. We only control the opportunity that we have to play against Morgan this week, and that's our main focal point. At the end of the season, I hope that your prediction is correct, but as of right now, it's just our focal point is just on Morgan.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot and good luck this Thursday.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach Milstead, for being here with us. Good luck this week, and we will see you next Monday.
Fantastic. Take care.
You too. Delaware State will travel to Baltimore, Maryland this Thursday to face the Morgan State Bears. Kickoff will be at 7:30 p.m. at Hughes Stadium, and the game will be broadcast live on ESPN2. Up next, Norfolk State head coach Dawson Odoms. Good morning, Coach Odoms. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Well, Coach, winning has now become a habit at Norfolk State. The latest win came Saturday over Morgan State. Talk a little bit about that 31-20 victory for us.
We'll always start with the positives. I thought our football team played team football. It wasn't as clean as we would have liked it to have been, but you got to execute. And I thought no matter what happened during that football game, we executed. Morgan is a very tough physical football team, and we knew coming in they were going to be physical in the running game. And I tell people all the time, when you can run the football, you usually can be physical on offense, but also physical on defense. And they are tough out. That record does not indicate the caliber of team that they are. Coach Wheatley team play hard, and they play hard for 60 minutes. And you got to buckle up and be ready to go to that street fight, and hopefully you can come out with a win. But I really thought we did a lot of good things positive. We moved the ball. We answered the bell. They scored. We scored. And we go up 14 points on defense in the first half, and then you give up seven points in the second half. And then offensively, we're explosive. We can score the football. We can move the football. And we had the touchdown call back. We dropped the touchdown, and we missed 2 field goals. And we still able to win a football game. And we know we got to play much better, but we know it's plays out there to be made. And the mindset of this football team, play the next play. And you can see that. You can see them taking on the mindset that we've been talking about from day one. And you can see this football team getting better. They're coming together. They're gelling as a team. And no matter what, they just keep fighting and keep playing together. And hopefully we can just keep winning. But we know we got to play much better. We got a tough opponent coming up this weekend on the road in a hostile environment. And we got to get ready to go play our best football. And we have yet to play our best football, but we think it's in the near future and hope it's this Saturday.
Awesome. So Jajuan Carter passed for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns. JJ Davis rushed for 105 yards with 2 touchdowns. And Daquan Felton had 6 catches for 104 yards. Basically, so many of your players are putting up impressive numbers. Talk about the team effort, of the Spartans.
Well, I just think when you have a dynamic guy like we have at quarterback, a lot of guys know it's opportunities for them to make plays. And Coach Sherman and the offensive staff is doing a great job of moving that football around and getting it into the hands of our playmakers. And they're doing what they're supposed to do when they get the ball. And we miss some opportunities, but for the most part, these guys are locked in, they're playing, and this is our first November together. And if you look at the track record, November means something. And what it means is that when you're in the hunt in November, you've earned that. You put yourself in that position, but you must take your game to the next level. And it's not really the game that's to go to the next level. It's your mental thought process. And that's what we're harping on, and that's what we're focusing on. Because a lot of coaches don't understand that. It's another game to be played, but mentally you got to take your game to another level and just understand that you got to block out the noise and you got to focus on today. And our guys started the week off the right way, and we're challenging them every second of the day, whether that's on the field or off the field, to be who they want to be. We are what we're supposed to be. And are we going to get to where we want to be? That comes with being the best you can be today, and then we'll worry about tomorrow.
Awesome. The Spartans will be taking their 6-game winning streak on the road to Durham this weekend to face the North Carolina Central Eagles. What will be the key to keeping the streak alive on Saturday?
Well, I really think it's going to be our mindset. We're going into a hostile environment. This is our third homecoming game of the season. And, as HBCUs, nobody want to get beat on homecoming. So Coach Oliver is going to have those guys fired up and ready to play. And it's going to be an old street fight. And we know that. We know the territory that we're going in. We understand what we need to do. And we just got to go in there and play Spartan football. And if we do that, we think success will find us. You'll never see me get out of composure about who we playing. Been down this road several times. And I really think a calm demeanor, just understanding the situation, understand who you're playing against, and stick to your formula. And that's what we're going to do. We know who we are. We know our process. We're going to stick to it. And come Saturday, we're going to kick off and see what happens.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll now open it up for media questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Mr. Hill. Thanks.
Yes, sir. You alluded to it earlier, but the thought process of November football and the intensity and kicking it up to another level, can you just explain that concept and why that can be so important in HBCU football and in college football? Any football as a whole, November is big-time football.
Well, I really think it's the deciding month. A lot of teams set out on goals at the beginning of the season, and they talk about where they want to be and how they want to get there. And I always say, October, you must be playing dominating football in October to even give yourself a chance to have a November to remember. Because most of the seasons in college football are over in November. Usually Thanksgiving weekend is the last regular season weekend of college football. And you want to look at going into November with a chance. And if you give yourself enough chances, eventually you'll have that opportunity to claim what you set out to claim. And that's what I explain to our players. It's all about playing great in October so that you can have a November to remember. And the process does not change. The process is to be followed every day. And that process is to every week go 1-0. And if you do those things, you don't ever have to worry about where you'll be at the end of the season. Focus is something that we talk about, and we talk about laser-like focus and just being able to go about every day, understanding what you need to do and how you need to do it. And that's something we try to get across to our players. They had some success, people are patting them on the back, but you got to block out the noise and focus on the next opportunity. And I think our guys have been doing a good job of that in October, but they're going to need to do a great job of that in November.
Coach, homecoming, as you say, no one wants to lose on homecoming on their own field. You go into a hostile environment. You go into an environment where everybody is waiting for the Spartans to get there. You go into an environment where it's a business trip for you guys. Can you just talk about going in and what you can envision and why this is such a major game?
Well, it's the next game up for us. This just happened the way the schedule is, and we're going to go in there with the right mindset and be who we are. No environment is going to change who we are. You're not going to see our guys do anything different than what we've done. We just expect to do it at a higher level in the month of November. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is just being better today than we have been on previous Mondays, and just keep getting better every day, locking in mentally, and just understanding that we just got to go in and play football. At the end of the day, the field's still the same length and same width, and there's only going to be 11 guys out there. So let's go play football the way we know how to play it, and everything else will take care of itself.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Stephen Gaither.
Good morning, Coach Evans. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Doing well, doing well. Obviously, you're going somewhere Just very familiar with your alma mater, North Carolina Central. But talk about your quarterback, Jajuan Carter. Obviously, he's been, had a great career, and he's 8 yards away from passing Aaron Sparrow for the school's all-time leading passing mark. Obviously, the most important thing is a win. But just talk about, for people who maybe don't know how much of a measuring stick Aaron Sparrow has been, how big that is for a guy to set those kind of records.
Well, I just think he's playing at a high level this year. I think he's having a really good season, and he understands what's in front of him. He understands what this team wants to achieve, and his individual accomplishments, they keep coming. And Sparrow has been at the top of that list for a long time. And for him to even be close to it is a testament to the players that have played with Carter and the coaches that have had the chance to coach him. It takes a lot to be able to bring down those types of records, but he's having a good year, and hopefully he continues to be the person that we need him to be from a leadership standpoint and continue to grow. And not only is he going to be able to break some records here at Norfolk State, but he also going to put himself in a position to become the man that we all know he can become and become the father that he's going to need to be for his little one. And if those things happen, then I think he can look back at Norfolk State and say, well done.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck this week.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Lute Williams.
Good morning. Lute Williams from the Black College Sports Page, Coach Odoms. Everybody focuses on Jajuan, and understandably so, but I want you to talk about the contributions that Cameron Brent, as well as J.J. Davis, particularly, I want you to talk both of them, but Davis in terms of what you've seen from him and how he's progressed since he's got there.
I think both of those guys run the football with great vision and great determination. And the biggest thing is that Coach Sherman is also offensive coordinator. He's also our running back coach, does an outstanding job. And they still leave a lot of yards out there. Vision is getting better, but they're a talented group. I think they work well together, and that's a good room. And just hopefully we can stay healthy and just keep being able to just do the positive things that they've been doing and execute at a high level. They're good in the running game, good in the passing game, good in the blocking game, good in protection. So they're complete backs, and hopefully we can stay healthy and just keep grinding those guys out because they're doing an outstanding job of just helping this offense be successful. And I think none of that will happen. Carter's success, Davis, or Brent would happen without our offensive line, who's been doing a tremendous job, and we're going to need them to be even more dominant as we go down the stretch.
Is for those who haven't seen him, is Brent like of a change of pace, or is Davis a change of pace between the two of them?
Well, I would say Brent is probably more the power guy, and Davis would be more of the speed guy, but both of them can go the distance.
Gotcha, Coach. Good luck. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Coach Odoms, for being with us this morning. Good luck this week, and we will see you next Monday.
Always a pleasure. Behold, the green and gold.
Norfolk State will travel to Durham, North Carolina on Saturday to face the Eagles of North Carolina Central. Kickoff is for 2 p.m. at O'Kelly-Riddick Stadium. The contest will be broadcast live on ESPN3 and then rebroadcast that night at 10:30 p.m. Up next, we have South Carolina head state coach Buddy Pugh. Morning, Coach Pugh. How are you?
Morning, Karen. How are you?
I am doing well. All right, Coach. The Bulldogs eked out a 27-24 victory over North Carolina Central on Saturday. What are your thoughts about the game?
Those are exactly my thoughts. We eked out a win, and it was a tough football game. We were down 7 almost before we got off the bus. Their quarterback hit a big run on us, and we were behind. And from that point, we were trying to figure some things out, but we eventually got ahead, and it was a knockdown drag all the way. The comparables right now in our league show us all to be pretty even. If you look at the scores, everybody seems to be playing each other within a touchdown or two, and That really means that, that anybody can beat anybody on a given day. So we're trying to remind our guys, we play Howard this week, and Howard might be the most improved team, in our league so far this year. So I've been impressed by a lot of what I've seen. I've talked about our new coaches, the guys that are in our league now, and the fact that I think we've got such a great young group of college football coaches here, and the staffs are good also. So, you're talking a situation here where if you're not on your P's and Q's, you get your head handed to you in a hurry. So, Coach Oliver and his staff at Central this past weekend, I thought they had a tremendous game plan, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. And I feel bad about sometimes taking a win from these guys because, I almost felt like they outplayed us, but at the same time, it ain't that way. I'm gonna take it. It's one of those kind of deals where we're gonna continue to try to see if we can move on in that direction. But at the same time, you do feel like these guys are doing tremendous jobs, all of them.
Awesome, Coach. The Bulldogs have now won 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5 games. Is your team now playing up to its preseason predictions?
I don't know. We were 1-4 3 weeks ago, and we're now trying to, get back to even where we're at even now. So we're trying to get over the hump to try to get back to above 500. And let's hope that we are. I can tell you that we've been ebbing and flowing. Our offense is down one week. You look at what happened with Howard and Delaware. I wonder if Howard's offense is that good and our offense is that bad, because they were so much more successful against Delaware's defense, than we were. They were able to run the football, and we couldn't at all. So, I don't know exactly where we are. Defensively this past week against Central, we couldn't stop a goal. It was ugly at times, and those guys just kind of ran over us. They ran over us and threw over us and every other kind of over us, you can think of. So it was not pretty. So, I don't know if we're playing up to our capabilities yet, but I can tell you that our guys are playing hard, and we got to figure out sometimes exactly how to play a little bit smarter, but at the same time, I think our effort's really good.
Awesome. Like we mentioned, the date with Howard is on tap this Saturday in Orangeburg. What does the game film tell you about the Bison, and how should your team match up against them?
Well, it scares the fool out in the way that Howard's offense kind of manhandled Delaware's defense a little bit, because I saw that defense 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you that we couldn't do much of anything against them. Didn't do much. I mean, it was a 13-7 game, and we got the ball a couple of times down close to the goal line, and we still couldn't get it in. So, the fact that Howard's done as much as they have, scares us. And then at the same time, their defense is really, they got a couple of defensive guys, that really stand out. So I just feel like this is a team in the making. I saw that team. I saw Howard during the spring, and I said, ooh, I don't know if they got a shot right now. And to see that same team now, is a testament to Coach Scott and all those guys that I know over there on that staff, that are doing it. Of course, knowing the names that you hear, that are sisters there, it's pretty much obvious that, that they would be better. And I'm scared to think of what will happen when you give those guys an opportunity to go out and get the kind of players I know they're going to recruit here in the next coming years. So they'll be really good in another year too. So you better get them now, because if not, then I got a feeling that it's not going to be pretty down the road a piece.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for that. We will now open up the floor for media questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Pugh. How are you, sir?
Hey, James, how are you today?
Pretty good. The topic of November football and why November is so important in college football, HBCU, and in this case, the MEAC, with the Bulldogs. Can you talk about November football and why that is such an important thing, playing well during November?
Well, the first thing is to continue to be relevant in November. And, I'm extremely, extremely proud of the fact that we're still in it. We were 1-4, I said a little bit ago, and limping around and had gotten the food beaten out of us down at Florida A&M, back early in the month of October, and didn't see much of a light at the end of that tunnel, I guarantee you. So for us to now be where we at and to be a part of this race, is truly a testament to our guys and their stick-to-itness and their, understanding of what could be. So, we are happy with the fact that we have, and now that we are in the November, the games get bigger every game. I mean, if you're successful that way, of course they get that much smaller, if you do get beaten. So, we're happy with the fact that we're still involved and looking forward to, a good Howard team coming here this weekend and hoping that we can somehow find a way to kind of eke out another one, because that's kind of what we're doing, each week now.
Coach, those back-to-back seasons, you've talked about it over this season, but all the football you've played over this last calendar year with the 2 different semesters. Can you talk a little bit about that and the toll it can take on teams in working through it?
You're exactly right, James. I don't know sometimes if the little bumps and bruises, the injuries we've had, are due to the number of games that we played. This is game 13 for us coming up, this coming week in this calendar year. And, that's a little bit much, I think, sometimes. But now the development that we've gotten, those guys that are young guys that are playing now for us who were here last spring has been, a tremendous asset to our program, overall. So I wouldn't trade it at this point, given the circumstances. We don't get that last year back not having played. So we need to be able to do something to give those guys a chance to kind of get something going a little bit. So it's all relative now. You do what you can, to kind of make the best of it. But at the same time, we have played a good bit of football here in the last year, and we want to try to see if we can get to the point where we can kind of get our guys as healthy as we can. We got to be somewhat cognizant of that fact, though, as we practice now. We can't do quite as much as we might have ordinarily done during this time of year. Toward the end of the year, we kind of slow it down a little bit, kind of shorten things down anyway. But at the same time, it's even more important that we do that now because of the fact that we played so many games.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you, James.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Coach Pugh?
Nobody wants me today, huh, Karen? When you're down and out.
We always want you, Coach. Coach, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Good luck
Appreciate
this weekend, and we will see you next week.
All righty.
All right, Coach. South Carolina State will host the Howard Bison on Saturday at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Sorry. Kickoff will be at 2 p.m. and the game will be broadcast live on the MEAC Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have Morgan State head coach Tyrone Wheatley. Good morning, Coach Wheatley. How are you?
I'm fine, and you? How are you?
Doing well. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
All right, Coach. Well, the Bears had a tough time slowing down Norfolk State quarterback Jajuan Carter and the rest of the crew on Saturday. Recap the game for us from your perspective.
Well, going into the game, we knew the three-headed monster was going to be up and rolling. And those guys are as advertised, talented crew. I tell you, the quarterback is really poised. He's matured. He's a really good player. You give him a zone, he's going to take it apart. You give him a man, he's going to put the ball, he's going to throw the receivers open. And the running back, he's, like Coach said, he's a patient guy. We offensively, once again, we just got to help our defense out, put up more points. We came out in the second half, pretty stagnant. We tried to get the ball moving, tried to get the run game going again, but to the veil, I think they turned their heart up a little bit more than we did, and they prevailed. But it was a hard-fought game, and I'm proud of my guys the way they fought.
Awesome. Which of your players were you most pleased with on Saturday?
I would say Christian Teague. Christian defensive end. We're Coach Pugh talked about being close, towards the end of the year. You nicked up, you beat up, and he's been the guy. I would just say, knock on wood, he's been our triathlon, our marathon man. He's been healthy. He's worked his butt off, but he played an incredible game. He's playing, for a defensive guy, he's playing way too many snaps that you would like him to play, but he played a great game. Alfonso Graham, on the offensive side of the ball, he's coming along. He's starting to understand, how to run this ball really well, and he's electric, and he can get the ball in the end zone. So those are the two guys I would say that stood out for me.
Awesome. And then this week, the Bears will face the Hornets of Delaware State in a nationally televised Thursday night ESPN2 game in Baltimore. Share your thoughts on this game.
Well, you're getting a really, really ornery Delaware team who's playing really good ball. They're hitting their stride. They're coming along. That front four, defensively, there's just a really good front four. Offensively, they're very tough. They're physical. They're going to get after you. They play ball control, and you're getting a team right now who's playing really good ball, and it's going to be a tough matchup.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll now turn to the media for their questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm well.
Thursday night football, quick turnaround. The focus is on the big stage, big game. Just talk about a quick turnaround and what that can be like in the league. You turn around from Sunday to Thursday. College football, it's Saturday to Thursday. But again, quick turnaround.
Quick turnaround. Coaches are working, late nights to get the games broke down, to get the information to the young men. But for the bodies of these young men, they're still college students, right? They're college students, and they have to go to class. And, they're doing late nights with homework and studying and things of that nature. Then to turn around and come get this thing going right back. Bodies are, have to heal. It's late football for them. The bodies have to heal up really quick. So you have to do your best to take care of them, no pad November, get the bodies right, get them healthy, get them going, let them sleep in a little bit. But at the same time, the focus got to be there, right? Got to get the bodies right, but you also got to get the focus back in shape, get it back in gear, because it is a turnaround. You try and mix some things in of the team that you're playing on Thursday, in the past week, but that's still kind of hard to do. But these guys, they've done a great job thus far.
Coach, when you get into November, can you talk a little bit about the concept of November football? Teams would like to be at the forefront, but then there's other teams that are just still competing in search of. Just talk about November football and again, why it's so important for everybody.
Well, November football really is a true testament of the work that you put in before August, right? It's that work that you put in before August. It's all the things that you're seeing that's coming to reality. And you talk about the teams that want to be relevant in November, that are fighting for a playoff spot, that are fighting for a Celebration Bowl contention, right? Those are the teams that want to see that can they finish. But then teams like myself who are growing, who are trying to get their teams in that position, the pendulum, right? You want to get that pendulum swinging the momentum in a proper direction, where the attitudes and the emotions of the young men are still riding high and giving them something to look forward to going into spring football. So November is a vital deal. It's a vital, because the whole point of this thing is a race. You want to finish. No matter where you are, you want to finish. And that's what November is.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have any more questions for Coach Wheatley? All right, Coach, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate you and good luck. And we'll see you next week.
All right, bye.
Take care. Morgan State will host Delaware State on Thursday at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. The 7:30 game will kick off, the game will kick off at 7:30 and it'll be broadcast live on ESPN2. At this time, we'd like to conclude our weekly press conference, but before we end the call, we'd like to thank each of the media members who've been with us today, the MEAC Sports Information Offices for their assistance with today's call, and as always, the MEAC would like to thank its corporate partners for their support. Our next call will be next Monday, November 8th, beginning at 10 a.m. And as always, for up-to-date news on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, log on to meacsports.com. Like the MEAC on Facebook, and follow MEAC Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. Thank you for being with us today. Everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week.